Let's speak to Professor Jan Godsell, Professor of Operations and Supply Chain Strategy at WMG at the University of Warwick. Jan, good evening to you.
Good evening.
Good evening. So are we all getting into a lather, or some of us getting into a lather over nothing?
Well, I think we've been buying a bit too much, so we've probably all been getting into a bit too much of a lather. The reality is our supermarkets have incredibly sophisticated planning systems, and the basics of supply chain is it's all about demand and supply. And the reality is things like toilet roll, we actually use a really, really constant rate. And so therefore we should be buying them at a constant rate, and the supermarkets understand that rate and replenish at that rate. And the problem is, because people have panicked, they've panicked because there's a fear factor, there's a fear of missing out, which actually has its roots in something called behavioural economics and prospect theory. We do fear loss more than gain, and so therefore we've started to buy at a much, much higher rate and stock up our houses, and that means that the supermarkets couldn't keep up with that rate. But the reality is, once your house is stocked full of toilet paper, you're not going to buy any more, and the supermarkets have lots of toilet paper in their warehouses that they can push back out to stores. So for those sorts of items, we should start to see shelves being fuller again. And the critical thing really for consumers is to stay calm and just buy at the rate that they actually use things.
Yeah, but it's nearly a domino effect, Jan, because we know some people are not staying calm, and they are therefore buying up the resource that would otherwise be there. Surely there's at least some logic in other people therefore going out and trying to get some supplies for themselves as well. If nobody was panicking, then of course the logical thing to do is don't panic. But if some people are stockpiling, why should everyone else not try to get in there and at least make sure they've got some supply?
The reality is, you think of it like a big water tank. What we've done is empty the tank, but rest assured that the supermarkets in their warehouses will have more supplies to replenish. And the critical thing is that, and those people that have already bought stuff won't buy any more. So actually, I don't think for those sorts of items like toilet roll, there is no need to panic. Wait, and you'll start to see stuff come back onto the shelves, and then try and not continue the panic by buying at the rate that you actually use stuff.
So how far in advance will retailers have stocked up?
So I think you've got to think about the coronavirus outbreak and think about the reasons why people are buying different things. So something like toilet roll is an item that we use every day. We use it at a very standard rate, and probably a little bit to protect against Brexit too. Our supply chains would have been quite full. I think actually we produce quite a lot of toilet paper in the UK because it's actually a really bulky item. So even if there was a slight upturn in demand, the supermarkets could then ask the manufacturers to upturn. So the supply chain should be able to catch up relatively quickly. Something like hand sanitizer is a little bit different because that would have been a very, very unexpected peak in demand, and we've suddenly created a demand for a product way beyond which you'd normally expect to see. So if that supply chain's been a bit more emptied out, it's going to take a little while longer to fill that back up. But I also believe there's companies like PZ Cussons who actually produce hand sanitizer in the UK. And then you've got products like paracetamol, which we're purchasing because we're worried that if we do contract coronavirus, that we actually want to be able to treat ourselves. And so people are buying that too. But again, once they're stocked up, then I think they'll have their stocks. And that will give the supply chain a chance to backfill.
Are prices likely to go up?
So this is all about demand and supply, and one of the ways of limiting demand is to put the price up. But alternatively, another way to limit that is, I think what we've seen, Tesco's has just announced that they're rationing, and rationing in a way is just a way of trying to limit that demand to be more in line with what they know people are actually going to use or consume.
Okay, listen, thank you very much indeed. Thank you, and nice to talk to you tonight. Here's Jeff in Cardiff. Hello, Jeff.